Hello everyone, I'm back today with another video, and this is going to be a ranked game on Strategus. I am currently, let's see here, 489 or 483 elo and plus 15, so I'm about 500. I've actually won the last few ranked games I've played, in addition to the tournament game against against Zach, I'm sorry, that I posted a few days ago. This is a setup that I've just kind of thrown together. You can usually be a lot more loose in these sort of games. This is actually an Incognito match, where I don't know my player, and if I click on that there, it'll say opponent stats undisclosed for Incognito game. So I don't know who this guy is, I don't know how good he is, I don't know his stats, and he doesn't know that for me either. But I like to play games like this sometimes. More often than not, it's a mixed bag. There are oftentimes lower rated players, but it can be an occasional highly ranked player. But it is a lot of fun sometimes, especially because of the factor of the unknown and the intrigue. In terms of I have no idea if I'm playing, the best in the world or a 100 elo player. So I don't have a real plan for this setup. A lot of times in Incognito, I'll just kind of go in with something random that I haven't really tried before. Because when I'm playing under my username in a normal ranked match, I try to vary things up in a certain way, so that, people who have played me a lot before, or who've watched my videos, they, I don't want them to be able to figure out, things about me, about my patterns as a player. I'm going to go ahead and hit that, just because my plan is kind of to attack with this major. So he's going to hit me with a general there. But as I was saying, in this Incognito match, I can kind of loosen up and play easy and kind of play more relaxed with my setup and things like that, and I think that is kind of fun, because ultimately you want to have fun with the game. You don't want to have a competitive life or death match every time you play. So he's going to come out with his general. That's not a great position for me, since I obviously can't really defend here. There's nothing too valuable except, of course, for that colonel and spy over here. The rest that's moved is kind of trash. But pretty interesting that he had his general just sitting out there like that. Especially that my sergeant could have discovered it for next to nothing. But as long as he remains cautious and doesn't want to try to attack further, I'm okay with that. Because I can stave his general off with plenty of unknown pieces that I have here, I think. So he has a captain there. I'm going to go ahead and scout that. It's a lieutenant. So he's not a player who has a lot of scouts in the front rows, is what I'm gathering from this. Because he's had a lot of captains and sergeants and lieutenants, and he's only used one scout, whereas of course I've used 4. And just as I say that, he's going to go ahead and use another scout. I think right here my best play is probably just to get this lieutenant out of the way. That's good. I'm going to go ahead and scout this. Colonel, that's a very good scout. Having his lieutenant and his captain there made me think there should be something that can probably kill a major, something that should be able to guard that captain. So I was figuring it could be around here. Didn't necessarily have to be this piece. I don't actually remember if this even moved or not. But that was a good scout. See, this is a bit annoying because it could be a captain. And he doesn't know that's a sergeant either. But I think I'm going to let that be. Because I think there's a high enough chance it could be something like a captain, where if I just waste that lieutenant, that's going to do more damage than him hitting the sergeant in the first place. So I'm going to leave that there. I'm going to bring the scout out and see if I can scare the colonel. And wow, that's his marshal. So he's going to get absolutely nothing at all from his little blitz with his marshal there. That's kind of crazy. But that also means I could potentially 2-score this colonel, although I think he's going to let it pass. So yeah, we'll probably move that down. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, just because I feel like he's going to hit it either way, so I might as well just not let it sitting there, or leave it sitting there. Okay, so he's going to let me at least get a captain here. Yeah, that was pretty obvious, but that's fine. I will take your captain. Alright, let me think about this if any other pieces have moved here. I feel like all of these have moved. I do feel like. I mean, I'll probably just take that guaranteed captain there. But I'm pretty sure that, like, this has moved. Yeah, okay. And I know that's moved, if I do recall correctly. Just because, yeah, he had a bunch of pieces he was moving in the center to back his general, which I didn't know was the general at the time. Okay, so I could move over, and that would threaten both of these pieces, and then he would move his marshal down to guard them. But then his colonel would have a pass to go over here and threaten my major again, which isn't something I necessarily want. So I'm actually going to retreat and maybe be able to utilize my scout. Or maybe not. We'll see what he does here. Okay, that's a minor, so that's not really worth anything at all. Okay. So I'm going to probably just want to leave that there. He's already shown a colonel on this side. I really doubt there's going to be another one that comes down to threaten the major. Maybe a major trade, because I haven't seen a major from this side yet. But right now, that could be a pretty logical spy. So I'm going to see if I can maybe bring a scout up and try to maybe snipe that. But I know his colonel's here, of course. And he's, of course, going to try to trade generals. Now he's going to bring up that colonel, which is a bit annoying, unfortunately. I think he's going to guard that scout, yeah. Oh well. A valiant effort by me to try to... I'm pretty sure that is his spy, though. And I can confirm that probably by moving next to the colonel here. Alright, so here's something else I can do. Now that he's moved his marshal away, I could... Okay, I was going to say, I could try to bank on the fact that this is a bomb, and maybe try to move my scout here, but of course he's going to actually move it. So, that response is out of the question now. Okay, so he's going to trade the generals, of course, which is expected. Okay. Alright, I'm going to probably evacuate this major just out of safety, since I suppose there is an outside chance that this could be something good. So I'm going to move that spy up, just in case. Probably swing it around. If that's a garbage piece, which it very well might be, then I'll just take with my colonel there. Yeah, okay. So I know that minor, there's also a second minor here. But, I mean, that's quite alright with me. I'm content to trade. I do wish I had my scout left. Yeah, he just took my last scout. That might not have been the smartest thing, to leave actually my last scout sitting there when he has 3 of them left, but oh well. So I'm actually going to try to probably get my spy over here. I hope he just doesn't randomly scout it. If he does, there's not much I can do to prevent that without making it painfully obvious. So here's his spy, here's his marshal. And so kind of at this stage in the game, we can try to make predictions about, you know, what sort of caliber this player might be. I'm actually going to hit this since I'm up a captain. Okay, so even if he takes that, I'm still up a lieutenant, and I'm up a sergeant, and he's actually going to trade, so that's even very good. But at this stage in the game, we kind of judge, I guess, how good this player might be. He's played a decent fundamental game. He hasn't made any stupid mistakes. He did blitz in the center with his marshal pretty randomly, which I found to be odd. But he's, you know, shown a decent ability to guard his pieces and anticipate moves, like when I was trying to bring my scout up, and he decided to block that. So I'm thinking he might be about 300 elo, maybe somewhere in that range, but obviously that's a random guess off of half a game that we've played. So I guess I'll have to probably wait and see till the end to find that out, of course. So we know his marshal here is spy. These two both kind of migrated from, well, this piece was the one accompanying his marshal. He moved from behind this lake, and this was under here. I don't remember what that was, to be honest. I'm going to come out with my second colonel. I'm fine with trading colonels right now, I think. And I'm going to leave that in front of the captain. Okay, so that's probably a scout. I would have to say. I'm going to move down just because I don't want him to take me. Okay, so that's a scout, so I'm going to hit that major. It's not bad to find out. A bomb would have been nicer, but that's okay. Alright, so, well, the problem with my plan here with my colonel is that's probably another scout. Or maybe at best, maybe a, I don't know, a sergeant, something like that. So, probably want to try to avoid revealing my colonel too quickly for nothing like that. But if he brings this other piece over, I probably will do that, actually. Take it, I mean. I'm going to bring this major over to safety in the center, just before I forget to do that. Okay. So I'm going to probably attack now. Okay, good. So I can advance on this major. And let's see, this is an interesting move. Does he move over, which is smarter? Yes, he does. He doesn't move back. So that means if I move down, and he moves down with me, and I take that, I find myself with the potential to be trapped between bombs. So I'm going to probably, let's see. So that was a good move by him. So that shows, you know, he could be a more highly rated player. Because a lot of people instinctually just keep retreating, but he's actually going to guard it, which is a good move. Okay, so he's actually going to do that, so that's telling me it's probably his colonel, and it is, so that's good. So I am completely fine with trading colonels. In fact, if I'm him, I probably want to avoid trading colonels, because that hurts him, because my colonel was known, he found it for only a scout, whereas his colonel was unknown, and his marshal was actually blocking me from being able to take it. And I certainly wasn't going to risk that on the off chance that it could be his colonel. There's no need for that. But what this does mean is this major doesn't have to cower in fear any longer. So that's pretty useful. I can actually come up and take this minor if he forgets that I've scouted it, or if he doesn't trade before I can do that, which it looks like he probably is going to do, actually. But if I can reduce this game board to a scenario where both of our majors are traded, but this major is his last major, because he is up a major on me, but it's his known major, that's good. Of course, that's actually his marshal here. So he's actually going to trade that major off. Interesting. So I guess I can come up with my fairly predictable major here, but again, he doesn't know that actually I'm going to bring up my major. That's his spy, if I recall. Of course, that's the marshal. And that's one of his majors. That's probably a minor or something similar to that. I could probably safely take that with my lieutenant if I needed to. Okay. So that's, of course, his known major, marshal. That's very, very high probability of being a spy right here. Okay, so he's going to waste his last scout, and he's also going to provide me access to a spy here. I can quickly tell I'm not going to be able to get this minor because his major's sitting in front of it, but I might as well go ahead and trade, so that's good. So I know his major here, and I'm now up a captain, so I can cause all sorts of trouble for him now with that, especially if he feels the need to continuously check my pieces and confirm that it's not my marshal and so on. Now, one thing I want to be careful about is this captain. It hasn't moved, but I don't want him to be able to lotto it. So I'm going to avoid having too many pieces on that left side, actually, as long as his major is present there, out of an abundance of caution. Because if he does take a captain, the game gets a little bit harder to win. So I am going to want to avoid doing that. And if he moves next to that captain, I probably will move that captain, just out of, again, caution. So he's actually going to hit me with a minor, which is pretty expected. And as you can see, he's actually going to blockade himself there, major, spy. Trading captains is absolutely fine with me, especially if I can get something for them. Although he doesn't actually know that captain. Now that I think about it, he hit me with his. He hit my lieutenant with his minor. So he's actually moving quite a lot of pieces here, which I think is a bit revealing his setup, if I have to say so myself. but of course we have major, spy. That's the minor. This is unknown, unknown. I am going to take this opportunity to actually move this captain for the first time. I think it's a somewhat believable marshal, so it might cause him to waste, a piece trying to confirm that it may or may not be the marshal. Now, I'm not going to risk simply moving next to that major. That would be foolish. So I'm just going to keep that there. But we know major, spy. I'm probably going to keep this captain in a location where his marshal can't trap it, but where it's clearly threatening. So I'm going to keep 2 spaces away, because if I moved here, then his marshal could move over and trap me. And I suppose if he really, did want to come around with his major, then he could actually take it. Although I might counterattack in time, but I'll play it safe for now. Let me come up with a sergeant here. Okay, I think I actually am going to move in. Since I have the sergeant in position, I find it very unlikely he would move over. I'll take that, and it's a captain trade as expected, which is good for me. Because the less pieces that are on my board, the more powerful that my captain, lieutenant, sergeant, and minor lead is over his 1 major. I'm going to go ahead and retreat with that. I suppose that could be a captain, so that's probably not quite worth it. I'm going to come up with my real captain here, though. Okay, so he's going to move his marshal around here. I'm going to be slightly wary of that. If that's his captain, then he can have that lieutenant, and I'll take. Wow. He's going to move right in like that. That is actually very surprising to me. Okay, I don't really know what he expected to gain out of that, but okay. Yeah, so now here comes this. Let me, so I could do a few different things here. I did not expect him to, very stupidly, I would have to say, move in like that. I really did not expect that at all. That was a big risk to take. I'm pretty sure that captain wasn't known. Obviously, that lieutenant wasn't either. He wouldn't have hit it with a minor. So I could do one of 2 things. I could try to move the lieutenant up, bluff the spy. The chances he believes that are probably pretty low. I think he'll move right past it, just based on the brashness of his moves a few minutes earlier, or a few seconds earlier, I should say. So if I did move up, he would probably just move over, and that would be worth nothing. What I can do is try to threaten his major. I suppose there is a small chance he believes it's my marshal, in which case he'd probably guard the major with the spy, and I could probably try to sneak by or at least get a piece before dying. But before I do that, I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to move over with my marshal, probably to keep the spy bluff. I don't want him re-access to this lane, and I'm going to move up on his major. Now, he'll probably take it, but it's probably a better shot. Okay. So that's not bad, because that actually gives me a little bit of opportunity here. So if I chase this back, I just don't want him to take me, although he seems, okay, I was going to say, it seems he believes it could be the marshal, but obviously he's just going to respond by doing that, so. I need to find a new bluff for my marshal. I didn't really have a concrete bluff, necessarily. But at least, even though I've lost my captain lead, I am up a minor. So I suppose that's good news, or up an additional minor, I should probably say. So, I guess I should probably bring this captain up to try to threaten him, be annoying, something like that. And of course he's going to bring the spy over. So, okay, that's fine, I suppose, for now. I'm going to keep this here, try to bluff it as the spy. I think that's probably the best location for it, pretty centralized here. I don't know his last captain, which I would really like to know that, actually. That would be pretty useful if it was maybe this piece. We have marshal, spy, major, minor. Could be that piece. I know that lieutenant's moved. Probably going to shuffle this sergeant back. Okay, I'm going to come up with the marshal, pretend this being my spy. He already believes that it is, based on this interaction we had here. Okay, I'm going to let that be there. And I'm going to bring my sergeant over, probably to bury it. Okay, I'm going to come down with this captain. Okay, that's fine. I'm going to move over with that. Right, okay. So that makes sense. He's just kind of keeping that intact there. I'm going to come retreat with both of them. Come down here. I'm not sure if his plan is to like gradually migrate to this side or what. I'm going to move over there. I'm going to threaten that. I don't think he'll take it. Okay, good. That was a risky play, especially because I'm not up a captain anymore. But I think that was worth doing that. Because that really asserts the fact that that's my marshal. Or that's the bluff I'm trying to sell, at least. So, not too bad. Oh, I didn't actually mean to move that. Ah, well. I think that's probably the captain. But if I take that right there, then he's got enough spaces. Now I can take it. Perfect. That's more than worth it to get that captain back. Now I can bluff this pretty effectively as a spy, this captain here. Since a marshal spy bluff is pretty common, I'd have to say. But what would be completely ideal is if I could actually take his major with my marshal as the spy backed it. That'd be extremely ideal. I'm going to want to bring up the sergeant here just to probably be able to threaten the spy. I don't want to give up a captain for the spy. Okay, so let's do that. Okay. Okay, so he's just going to stay there. That's fine. Let me come up with a lieutenant, since he doesn't have any captains left anymore. Although his response will be predictable. He's going to rush the major back to guard there. I don't want him to be able to trade with me yet. Okay, so I can do that to avoid trading. And he's kind of forced, again, back to nothing. So if I threaten that spy, let's see what he does there. Aha! Okay, that's fine. I'll do that. Because, in effect, that's trading a sergeant for the spy. So I'm going to do that because I'm pretty sure this piece is moved. I'm going to want to just be cautious there. Okay. So I don't think that changes anything of consequence that I can think of. Okay. It's fine with me for now. Okay, so he's lost his opportunity to two-square me by moving over. So my lieutenant's pretty safe here. If he were to try to rush the major back, I would have enough moves to respond, I do believe. As we're about to test that theory now. I mean, worst case scenario, I can always lotto, I suppose. But it does look like I will have enough moves, so that's good. Okay. More than happy to trade that. Probably this wasn't necessarily what I had hoped completely, especially because I had him fooled about my spy and he didn't really know what my spy was. But this is better than trading marshals while his major is bearing down on me here, because that could have been, you know, potentially bad if he'd been able to smash into everything while I had it clustered. But as it ends up, that didn't have to be the case, so that was good. Okay, so I know 4 of his minors. I only have to worry about 1 more minor, which is pretty useful, I suppose. If this is a lieutenant, that would be tremendous. Okay, sergeant. Well, that's nearly as good. Let's see if he remembers that I've scouted this here. I bet you he won't. Yeah, he's not going to remember. So, just for good measure, I'm going to pull his major all the way to the side here. I'm going to go ahead and take that, since I know I've scouted that. Okay, that's whatever. If he tries to trade lieutenants, I'm going to always have 1 waiting back here. Yeah, so I'm going to be able to, most likely, I don't think, yeah. So if he's a good, smart player there, this is why I think he's decent, but he's not a great player. If he'd recognized that, he would have moved over with the major, forced me to trade actively, or I guess I could have avoided the trade, but he would have been able to trade anyway. But basically, he would have been keeping in line with this lieutenant, two-squaring this lieutenant, so that he would have eventually been able to force it out of the way. What that forces me to do eventually is I'm going to have my lieutenant sitting right here. He's going to come down with his major, and one would think he would come down with a minor, which I should be able to trade, but if he were to do something tricky like come down with a sergeant, and I hit it with my minor out of desperation, things could get tricky. But that doesn't seem that it's going to be that way this game. So he has 3 moving pieces left, of course, in addition to his major. He does have 1 lieutenant, which is a bit annoying just because I can't advance with my sergeants or minors yet. But I know that's moved. And I'm only worried about defending these 2 sides. I really don't care about that left at all. So I'm going to move up with my 3rd lieutenant here. And now I know this is not his lieutenant, because he would have traded it with me otherwise. Okay. So he has an open flag, which I think is actually pretty interesting. So let's do that. Huh, okay. I guess I'll come up with a minor on this right side. The only thing I can think of is if he tries to trade lieutenants, that he could maybe advance with a minor here, but I don't really see that happening. Okay. Bomb, that makes sense. I have a feeling his sergeant's going to be somewhere around here. So I'm going to try doing that, actually. Let's see if I can try to trap this lieutenant. Still think he'll let me, but it's worth a shot. Okay. Yeah, so he's clearly evacuating pieces here. Okay, I'm going to take this piece. Oh, this is actually the last minor. Okay. That's worth sacrificing my captain for, though. And there we go, perfect. I don't know why he would trade that. He absolutely needs to lotto. There's really no other play to do there. That doesn't make any sense at all. But right now I need to try to focus on killing this sergeant. I'm not going to attack with my minor yet, because that would let his sergeant come this way. What I want him to do is to go over with his major. And as he does that, let's see if I can trap and kill the sergeant here. And it looks like he will let me do that. And I will absolutely trade that minor for his sergeant here. So that will win me the game since I have 3 minors left. And his mistake there was trading lieutenants. His only hope was to lotto and try to take out as many of my minors as he could. But that was definitely not a good play. I feel like he could have pressed his advantage a bit more. Maybe tried to come down with his major, kind of make me a little bit nervous, unsteady, but he didn't have a minor in position, and that's just probably bad setup building, because it's buried all the way back here where you would have figured he had a sergeant. But I think probably ideal for him is to come down with the major, try to force my lieutenant out of the way, and then try to also bring the sergeant. And even if he can't get to my flag, that can, make me nervous, potentially make me lose pieces. So, game was against Jackie. I'm going to gain 8.4 elo for that. And Jackie was a 365 elo player, so I kind of hit that one right perfect. Decent player, but not a great player, but still played a solid game. With a few, mistakes that I pointed out, but overall, pretty good game. Happy to have won it in the way that I did, and I'll see you all in the next video.